In the period that I've called Svalbard home, which in the bigger picture is a very short period actually, there's been immense changes due to climate change. We see the recession of the glaciers is what I see from the air flying over Svalbard.
It's changing so fast that nobody have time to adapt, not the glacier, not the animals.
I think we should be aware of what we're doing to nature, because human history on Svalbard is a history of extractivism.
We are a constant growing population, so more and more it's important that each person does their own little bit. We all need to coexist on the planet, and everyone needs to do their own little bit to help. Something about the blue skies, which a lot of people think in the Arctic the weather's terrible, but like today it's a classic blue sky. You wish you were in the air. I love the diffraction of light. When the atmosphere is frozen, the sky is frozen, the water crystals in the sky is frozen. We get such diverse light changes. The midnight sun, the nightless nights. We have a 6-week period where it'll transition from complete darkness to complete light. Quality of the air, the sky above us, and the diffraction of light. For myself, and I think for most residents, they're the most beautiful period. I was born in Australia, which I was lucky enough to be raised between a childhood of partly expatriate life with parents travelling and international big cities. And then I guess travel led me away a lot from aviation and being free in the sky, until I got into filming. Polar X is the company that I manage. It started in a very small way. We originally just called it Jason Roberts Productions because I operated mostly as a cameraman and shot the footage alone. I saw it more as a way or an opportunity to be able to do the expeditions I wish to do. How do you finance an expedition? How do you get to these locations that are inaccessible? And by filming them, it gave me that opportunity to see the whole polar region. I've lived close to 35 years on Svalbard. Svalbard from the air is majestic, out of this worldly, dramatic, extreme. It's a wilderness that's very hard to describe unless you've really seen the polar regions. It's endless. In a way, it's also sad to see the recession in the glaciers, because something I really noticed from the air, that the glaciers are receding at incredible rates.
One of the main glaciers I'm studying, it retreat of about 1 kilometer in 8 years. And I never thought that I will see a glacier retreat of about 1 kilometer, but then I saw it in only 8 years. It's crazy, crazy fast what is happening here in Svalbard.
The Arctic is warming much faster than the rest of the world, and the region of Svalbard is warming 4 times faster than the rest of the world, and there's actually sub-regions of these regions that are warming 5 to 6 times faster. It's really a changing world in that sense, but it's also a country of change.
Right now on Svalbard we're at 79 degrees north, so a stone's throw that direction behind me is the North Pole, just over 1,000 kilometres away. And we have the nightless nights, as I like to call them, the midnight sun, where actually most people would think that locals love the midnight sun, the constant daylight.
The landscape is changing in Svalbard because of the warming, but also the melt season is getting longer and longer. We are losing a lot of snow, it's less and less sea ice, and less ice from the glacier. And this white landscape are very important. It's how much a surface will reflect from the sun ray. Then when we lose the sea ice, the ocean is quite dark, so it will absorb more and more energy. The fact that this place is warming very fast, it doesn't have the time really to adapt, so for the animals, first the human also, but also the nature. We have more and more storm, more and more rain events. Normally it used to be, just some small, very tiny drop here. But now it's like a really proper rain. So this is a big changes, and this affects a lot the glacier. It accelerates the melt of the glacier even more, because then you will have more water flowing on the ice surface, and it will generate more friction, more melts on the glacier surface.
If we go into Svea Glacier, then we know that it's in this early stage of a surge, so there's could be some bergy bits outside of it, or most likely, as you've been there recently, mostly still old fast ice, rotten ice.
Yeah,
So we'll see what we find on the ice.
first thing we're coming up there now, we're gonna probably meet some old ice, flat ice. If we can get past it, we probably can go onto the ridge onto the glacier, and from there we have to assess how the glacier looks. The glacier fronts usually are breaking off quite bad, and it's quite sketchy to walk on them because it's unstable mass. It used to be a lot of ice here, and now, right now, we are in the middle of Ice Fjord, and it hasn't been ice here since I think 2009, 10. But the first time I was here, I was actually crossing this fjord straight over.
So we're about to get through a lot of this brush ice or bergy bits, which are just floating around. It's all carved off the glacier, but here there's quite a clear area of water. At the same time, we have a quite blue ice where it's carved off the glacier, and that shows you straight away that this is where the snow melting up on the glacier falls through the ice into what's called moulins to the bottom of the glacier, and then comes out as a river. The fjord behind me here is a very productive fjord. It looks quite desolate, but it's actually got a lot of life in the ocean, and anything on the high Arctic that's growing on land is connected to the ocean. A little bit the same in the Antarctic, where everything is connected to your oceans, going back to how important the ocean is as an environment that we have used way too long as a resource, and you're also using it as our rubbish dump. At the moment, the world is divided up into borders by countries, yet the ocean is kind of left by itself. So we need better ownership of the oceans for the whole planet. And Svalbard is really poster child of climate change, and we have seen massive reductions on the glacial coverage of Svalbard, massive reductions on the sea ice and the ocean frozen around Svalbard, and that's global climate change, which in a way is very depressive when you see the figures. As humans, we often get maybe a little bit depressed by especially recent media on climate change, and in a way we should understand that we are at the tipping point of climate change.
So me, I'm still optimistic because we still have a window of 30-40 years to act. We have the technology, we have the knowledge, we know what to do to reduce our carbon emission, to have a more sustainable way of living with the earth, with the nature. So it's very important to do this work here, because we can see what's going to happen if all Antarctica is melting. Then it's 58 meters of sea level rise. So this is not going to happen tomorrow, but we can trigger it if we don't do anything for the next 30 years or 40 years.
Satellite services has revolutionized the way researchers across the world can do research on climate change in a very efficient manner compared with the pre-satellite era. Many of the programs we support are open data, so scientists from many nations can use the data.
Svalbard is also the home to the Global Seed Vault, which is a depository of seeds for crop diversity from around the world.
All regions of the world have seed banks. The seed banks, they deposit a sample of what they hold, and then they store it here for long-term storage, so that if something should go wrong, it's a backup.
With the data that we provide to our clients, the world, the scientists, all of the world's population do get a better understanding on the climate changes and how it actually impacts the whole world. And we see it especially this far north in the Arctic.
I feel privilege is the best word for everything I've managed to be able to experience around the polar regions, whether it's anywhere in the Arctic or Antarctic. I've travelled immensely, and later on you start to consider what good can we do, and we need to each and every individual think of what we can do better for the climate. Svalbard is becoming very much a frontier of hope, because if people actually discover somewhere like Svalbard or discover the wilderness around where they live, it gives them hope, and hope for maybe protecting the environment for the future generations. If you care about your wilderness and wildlife, things can regenerate, and we've seen massive regeneration on Svalbard. Because Svalbard was a place with not much hope. It was a frontier at the end of the earth where people come to harvest, to hunt. And under the Svalbard Treaty, we protected Svalbard.
Perhaps sometimes I think we fully understand all the systems of the earth, but we don't. So it's important of having long-term measurement series to research to understand change.
Respect your local wilderness, even if it's your back garden or your park. Try to understand the global environment that we live in is not so big. You know, we are all connected. All people's actions count. We only have one planet, and it's called Earth.